Good afternoon. This is the Mount Pleasant Waterworks Tropical Update for Hurricane Irma. This is Thursday, September 7th, approximately 12:30 p.m. as I'm recording this. All right, so let's get right to it. I'll try to make this brief today. This is the 11 a.m. position and forecast from the National Hurricane Center. Wind speeds have dropped a tiny bit, but not enough to matter. Whether it's 170 miles per hour or 180 miles per hour really doesn't matter. It's still a catastrophic, extremely intense hurricane. Forecast track hasn't changed very much at all in the past 24 to 36 hours or so. Still basically heading for South Florida, making this right-hand turn. And these lines, like here, this is a little bit deceiving. This particular charting software just plots a straight line from one point to the other. There actually would be a bend in here, so you kind of have to imagine that. So heading straight for South Florida, the official forecast does have the center passing just over Miami, Fort Lauderdale area, then moving back offshore and then turning inland. This morning's forecast, the only real difference from the 5 a.m. is the track was a little to the right at 5 a.m. and it shifted just a tiny bit to the west or to the left in this last little leg here. Puts it a little farther from Mount Pleasant if this forecast were to verify exactly, but remember, it is very common for these things to shift back and forth. So just like it shifted to the left this time, next time it could shift back to the right. That's very common. So you can't get too worried or too comfortable with any one forecast. So just bear that in mind. This is the forecast at this moment. It will change and be revised as we go through time. So that's the current standing. I'll show you the most recent models, and the bad news there is as we get up here, the models are now spreading out further. There's less agreement. And again, there are forecast models that don't show in this chart that are being considered as well. So these aren't the only factors, but there's a lot of spread here now. So adds even more uncertainty to where it could go. Several of the models are showing this trend. They're kind of holding this trend of bending back to the west a little bit at some point in this last part of the leg. Here's one. This is part of the Canadian that still isn't. So a lot of questions up here still, and really no answers. This could still be Georgia, South Carolina, and I don't think North Carolina you can close the door on yet. That's still possible, although the focus for certainly the past 24 hours, the models and the official forecast have been focused on the Georgia, South Carolina area. Couple of concerns, just as if you don't have enough concerns already if you're watching this. One of the models, and we'll look quickly at the global models. I'm trying to not take too much time today, but this forecast shows the center passing over Florida, so it passes over land, and that's part of the reason for some of this weakening from a forecast of 144 miles per hour just before landfall to 120 miles per hour here. There is some thinking that it will begin to encounter some wind shear as it gets up here, and that's part of what's making this left turn. That could begin to weaken it up here. As it gets in this water closer to the coast, that's actually a little bit cooler than some of the water it's in down here. So that may contribute to some weakening, but I'm a little concerned of counting on either one of those much. So just something to keep in mind if you're in this area, Georgia, South Carolina. If it doesn't make landfall on Florida, which one of the more reliable models still suggests it's going to come very close but not make landfall. If it misses Florida, if the center of the eye misses Florida and stays over water and then comes up our way, this weakening may not happen to this degree. So I think we have to prepare for the possibility of this still could realistically be a Category 4 hurricane when it makes landfall in this area. That's certainly a possibility. It's not the only possibility. There are several others, which is what makes this so difficult. Here's a little closer in shot of exactly where the track is, pretty much coming in just right at Savannah, just below Savannah possibly. So, and keep in mind that is this one forecast, and they will bounce around as we see other forecasts. So that's where we stand right now. The other thing, let's see, did a wind. This is a wind band analysis based on the current forecast. Have to keep stressing that. So here's Mount Pleasant. This currently shows us not in the hurricane force winds. This green, the green, blue, yellow, orange are hurricane force winds getting progressively stronger. The two shades of gray are tropical storm force. So this is kind of lower tropical storm force. Higher tropical storm force is the darker gray. That's currently the wind band we're in. This morning's forecast, which was a little to the right, had us in minimal hurricane force winds. So tiny shifts can make a pretty significant difference in the impacts you feel. So it's just wait and watch and see. But wanted to give you that. That's kind of what we're currently expecting for Mount Pleasant area is just under hurricane force winds are the possibility based on this forecast. So quickly, just wanted to show you the GFS model. So this is the latest model that's just coming out right now. So pretty much the same as we've been looking at. Moves between Cuba and the Bahamas, takes the right-hand turn at Florida, but this continues to show that the eye stays just offshore. This model has been persistent with that for eight or nine runs now, I think. Stays just offshore, kind of skirts up the coast of Florida, staying pretty close to the coast, and then turns inland right about where we see the official forecast, somewhere around the Savannah area, something like that. So that's where we stand for now, guys. I'll provide updates later, so stay safe, be prepared, and I'll talk to you next time.